Welcome back! Did you know there was once a resort so famous that pilots marked it on their maps before they even wrote Tijuana?
That's right, Aleli. Today, we're starting a journey through the history of the legendary Agua Caliente Casino and Hotel. Built in 1928, it became Hollywood's playground, a symbol of wealth and eventually a ghost of its former self.
And we're going to explore why it was born, who designed it, and how a young architect created one of Mexico's most ambitious projects of the 20th century. This is
Eros
Estates.
Let's get started! Section number 1. Why it was born, the Prohibition opportunity. To understand Agua Caliente, you need to picture the United States in 1920. The 18th Amendment had just gone into effect. Alcohol was banned, nightlife went underground, and yet the man didn't vanish, just crossed the border.
Exactly. Just 20 miles south of San Diego, Tijuana became a natural outlet. Entrepreneurs realized if Americans couldn't drink, gamble, or party at home, they'd happily cross into Mexico.
And that's where General Abelardo L. Rodriguez enters the story. In 1927, as a governor of Baja California Norte, he approved concessions for the construction of a grand resort. His idea was simple: capitalize on U.S. restrictions, boost Mexico's economy, and put Tijuana on the map.
Think of the scale. Tijuana's population in 1928 was barely 11,000. Yet, within its first year, Agua Caliente attracted over 100,000 tourists. That's nearly 10 times the city's size.
It wasn't just about alcohol. The resort promised horse racing, hot springs, golf courses, and gambling, all legal in Mexico at the time. And it offered what Americans crave: glamour without limits.
So, Agua Caliente wasn't only a casino. It was a cross-border economic experiment, a way to turn prohibition into profit.
And for investors, it was a gold mine. U.S. capital flowed south. Local workers found jobs, and Tijuana transformed from dusty town to international hotspot.
Section 2. Design and construction. A 19-year-old's vision. Now, here's the part that still amazes historians. The man chosen to design this multi-million-dollar resort was only 19 years old, Wayne McAllister.
Barely out of his teens, McAllister blended Spanish mission style with Moorish revival architecture. White stucco walls, red clay roofs, ornate towers. It was a design that screamed both elegance and spectacle.
He created more than a building. He created an atmosphere. Imagine arriving at a desert valley and suddenly being surrounded by gardens, fountains, courtyards, and the scent of citrus trees.
And the highlight, that tower, completed in 1929, it rose like a beacon. It was more than decoration, it became a symbol of Tijuana itself.
The construction moved fast. In less than 2 years, a barren hillside became a sprawling complex with a grand casino hall, swimming pools, a spa, a golf course, and bungalows reserved for celebrities.
And let's not forget the financial and political muscle behind it. Rodriguez had influence, U.S. investors had money, and Baja California had land ready to be transformed.
It was a perfect storm of ambition. By 1928, the Agua Caliente Casino and Hotel opened its doors, instantly putting Tijuana in the same conversations as Monte Carlo and Havana.
Some critics warned it was built on a shaky ground financially and politically, but for the moment it didn't matter. Agua Caliente was unstoppable.
So we've seen how prohibition in the US gave birth to Tijuana's golden chance.
And how a teenager designed an empire of glamour in less than 2 years. A resort that would make Tijuana shine like never before.
But this was just the beginning. In the following, we'll dive in the glamour years. The Hollywood stars, the scandals, even the ghost stories that gave Agua Caliente its legendary aura. Section 3. The glamour years, Hollywood's playground. 1. The Agua Caliente Casino and Hotel opened in 1928. It didn't take long to attract the brightest stars from Hollywood.
That's right. Imagine Clark Gable playing golf in Baja Sun, Charlie Chaplin wandering through the courtyards, Bing Crosby singing at a private gala. For Hollywood, Agua Caliente was freedom just across the border.
And they didn't just gamble. Guests enjoyed thermal baths, gourmet dining, horseback riding, and a luxury lifestyle that rivaled Monte Carlo and Havana.
One of the biggest draws was the horse racing track. The Hipódromo became famous worldwide. Bettors came from Los Angeles and beyond, making Agua Caliente a hub for international gaming.
The resort even had its own airstrip so celebrities could fly in on private planes. That was unheard of in the 1920s.
And it wasn't just about leisure. Agua Caliente was filmed in movies, photographed in magazines, and became a symbol of borderland glamour. For Tijuana, it was a ticket to global recognition.
Section 4. Legends and Ghost Stories. The Lady in White. No, not me. But with fame also came legends. One of the most whispered tales was about the Lady in White.
According to staff, after midnight, a woman dressed in white would appear in the Grand Casino ballroom. She would stand silently near the roulette tables, never speaking, always staring.
Some said she was a wealthy guest who lost her entire fortune at the tables and then took her own life. Others believed it was a tale invented to keep gamblers enchanted.
Whether true or not, these ghost stories gave Agua Caliente a mysterious edge. Guests loved to believe they were part of the legend.
And it wasn't the only myth. Stories circulated of fortunes buried in the gardens, of secret tunnels linking the resort to a safe house in town, and of celebrities hiding scandals behind its luxurious walls.
Every great resort has its lore, and Agua Caliente's myths are still told in Tijuana today.
Section 5. The closure in 1935. Politics versus profit. Of course, the golden years couldn't last forever. In 1934, Mexico elected President Lázaro Cárdenas, a reformist determined to curb vice and corruption.
In 1935, he issued a decree banning gambling nationwide. Casinos were shut down overnight. Agua Caliente's casino and hotel closed their doors just 7 years after opening.
Think about the shock. Thousands of jobs were lost. Millions of dollars in US and Mexican investments vanished, and Tijuana's economy took a massive hit.
For locals, it was devastating. Agua Caliente had been the city's biggest employer. For investors, it was proof that real estate talent took political risk and collapsed in an instant.
And yet, one part survived. The Hipódromo. Horse racing was still legal, so the racetrack continued, keeping a small flame alive.
But the glamour was gone. The bungalows emptied, the grand halls fell silent, and Hollywood stars stopped crossing the border.
It was the end of an era. Agua Caliente had gone from international fame to abandonment in less than a decade.
So, we've seen the glamour of Hollywood, the legends of ghosts, and the abrupt closure that ended Tijuana's golden age.
And following this, we'll explore the devastating fire of 1971, the rebirth of the Hipódromo, and how Agua Caliente reinvented itself to survive into the modern era. Section 6. The fire of 1971, a tragedy in flames. Fast forward from 1935 to 1971. By now, the casino had been closed for decades, but the Hipódromo was still alive, with horse racing, and the tragedy struck.
In 1971, a massive fire swept through the complex. It destroyed stables, grandstands, and irreplaceable parts of the original architecture. Years of history went up in smoke.
Newspapers of the time described the flames as visible across the city. For many, it felt like Tijuana was losing a part of its soul.
And imagine the impact on the community. Families who had worked there for generations watched their livelihoods disappear overnight.
Yet, the fire also proved something important, that real estate, when it holds strategic value, never truly dies. Even when structures collapse, the land keeps its potential.
Section 7. Reconstruction and Resilience, the Phoenix of Tijuana. After the fire, there were voices who said, "This is the end of Agua Caliente." But the owners in the city thought differently.
Instead of abandonment came reinvention. The racetrack was rebuilt. Facilities were modernized. A new vision emerged. One not just tied to gambling, but to entertainment and sports.
And this is where the story connects the modern Tijuana. Out of those ashes rose the foundations for today's Caliente Empire. Sports betting, entertainment venues, and eventually Estadio Caliente, home of the Shorts.
Exactly. The lesson is clear. Iconic locations never lose their drop. They adapt, they evolve, but they remain central to the identity of a city.
It's also proof that setbacks, fires, closures, even government bans don't always mean the end. For visionary investors, they can be opportunities for transformation.
Section 8. From resort to school. PFLC is born. Now, while part of the Agua Caliente side became entertainment again, another part took on a very different role. In the 1940s, the Mexican government repurposed the land into a high school.
That's right. The Preparatoria Federal Lázaro Cárdenas, known as PFLC, was established on the grounds of the old resort. Instead of roulette tables, students now filled classrooms.
Imagine the contrast. Where Clark Gable once strolled, teenagers now learn math and literature. Where champagne once flowed, young athletes train for sports.
And here's the fascinating part. Traces of the original resort remain. The famous pool still exists inside the campus. Walking there is like touching a fragment of the 1920s.
It shows how real estate is fluid. A luxury resort became a school. A casino became classrooms. The same land serving completely different purposes.
And that's why Agua Caliente's story is more than history. It's a lesson in urban resilience. A property can reinvent itself across generations.
So we've seen destruction by fire, rebirth through reconstruction, and reinvention through education.
And all of it tied to one truth. Iconic locations never disappear. They transform, they adapt, and they continue shaping the future.
Now we'll explore what survives today. The Hipódromo, the Tower, the Estadio Caliente, and why legacy corridors like Boulevard Agua Caliente hold special value for investors. Section 9. What remains today? Footprints of a legend. So, what's left of Agua Caliente in 2025? The truth is, a lot more than you might think.
Hipódromo still exists. Although horse racing stopped many years ago, today it's a casino connecting nearly a century of tradition where you hear echoes of 1928.
Then there's Estadio Caliente, home of Club Tijuana Cholos. It's modern, loud, and alive, but it sits on the same historic land where Hollywood once danced.
And don't forget the tower, The original one burned, but in the 1980s, a replica was built. Today, it's still a recognizable landmark for anyone driving along Boulevard Agua Caliente.
And of course, the FLC, the Preparatoria Federal Lázaro Cárdenas, thousands of students still walk through the grounds that once hosted roulette tables and champagne fountains.
It's surreal. One property, 4 different lives: casino, racetrack, high school, and stadium. Each chapter tells us that real estate is never static. It evolves with society.
Section 10. Legacy and Real Estate Lessons. Now, let's talk about the lesson for investors. What makes legacy corridors like Boulevard Agua Caliente so resilient?
Identity. People are drawn to places with history. They don't just buy square meters, they buy into a story.
Exactly. Even when buildings vanish, the aura remains. Properties near Agua Caliente retain strong demand, partly because buyers want to be part of its legacy.
And there's data to back this up. Studies show that historic districts often outperform average appreciation because cultural capital adds to financial capital.
So, if you are an investor, this is your takeaway. Look beyond numbers. Ask yourself, does this property belong to a story bigger than itself?
Because land that carries memory is land that keeps value. Agua Caliente proves it.
From roaring 20s glamour to ghost stories to political closure to fire, rebirth, and reinvention, Agua Caliente is more than history. It's a masterclass in resilience.
And today, its legacy lives on Tijuana's identity, economy, and real estate market. A reminder that what seems lost can always transform.
So, if you'd like to explore opportunities near Agua Caliente or any historic corridor in Tijuana,
reach out to us, because when you invest in legacy, you invest in the future.
and don't forget, subscribe, like this video, and share it with anyone who loves history, real estate, or the fascinating borderland stories of Tijuana.
This is
See you next time.